Most people misunderstand generational wealth because they observe it only at the surface. Large estates, family names that endure, children who begin life far ahead of the starting line. Books written by and about financial celebrities reveal a far less glamorous and far more demanding reality. Generational wealth is not preserved by money alone. It survives through systems, values, and restraint, applied consistently over time, often at the expense of short-term pleasure. The first secret these books expose is that generational wealth is intentionally boring. It avoids spectacle. It rejects urgency. Financial celebrities who succeeded across generations learned early that attention attracts risk. Flashy success invites imitation, scrutiny, and erosion. Quiet compounding, by contrast, invites longevity. Families that endured did not optimize for admiration. They optimized for survival. Another recurring insight is that generational wealth is rarely built by the generation that enjoys it most. The founders often lived below what they could afford. They delayed gratification even after success arrived. Books show that this behavior was not accidental. It was strategic. They understood that wealth built without discipline dissolves when discipline disappears. These financial celebrities also emphasize structure over genius. Talent creates opportunity, but systems preserve it. Trusts, governance, frameworks, family councils, and clearly articulated rules appear repeatedly in these stories. The goal was not control for its own sake, but continuity. Without structure, even well-intentioned heirs drift toward entropy. Another powerful theme is the separation of ownership from control. Many famous families deliberately restricted how and when capital could be accessed. Children were encouraged, sometimes required, to build careers independent of inheritance. This separation protected identity. Wealth became a resource, not a crutch. Books describe how heirs who earned their competence respected capital more deeply than those who inherited it without context. These stories also reveal a counterintuitive truth. The most durable wealth creators prepared their children for a future without money. They taught skills, judgment, emotional regulation, and adaptability first. Financial knowledge came later. The logic was simple. Money can disappear. Capability compounds. When capability exists, wealth can be rebuilt. When it does not, wealth evaporates. Another secret lies in time horizon. Financial celebrities think in decades, not quarters. Decisions are evaluated not by immediate return, but by long-term consequence. This perspective alters everything. Risk tolerance shrinks. Leverage becomes dangerous. Reputation becomes an asset to protect. These families avoided bets that could erase decades of progress in a single mistake. Books on generational wealth also stress the importance of narrative. Families that endured told consistent stories about where the money came from and what it was meant to do. This narrative anchored behavior. Without it, wealth felt arbitrary, and heirs treated it as luck rather than responsibility. Meaning became a form of governance. Another recurring insight is the deliberate avoidance of entitlement. Financial celebrities often exposed their children to discomfort, work responsibility failure early. This was not cruelty, it was calibration. Children learned that money did not exempt them from effort. Over time, this lesson preserved both character and capital. Philanthropy also appears as a stabilizing force, not as virtue signaling, but as identity management. Giving reframed wealth as stewardship. It expanded perspective beyond consumption. Books show that families who integrated philanthropy early avoided many internal conflicts later. Shared purpose reduced rivalry. Contribution replaced comparison. Another secret is privacy. Many financial celebrities actively shielded their families from public attention. They understood that visibility distorts incentives and corrodes humility. By remaining private, they allowed mistakes to be corrected quietly and lessons to be learned without reputational damage. These books also highlight the danger of over-centralization. When one individual controls all decisions, succession becomes fragile. Families that survived diversified authority gradually. Responsibility was transferred in stages. Mentorship replaced command. This slow handoff preserved institutional memory. Another theme emerges around adaptability. Markets change, industries fade. Families that tied identity too tightly to a single source of wealth struggled when conditions shifted. Those who defined themselves by principles rather than assets adapted. Flexibility, not loyalty to legacy businesses, preserved wealth. Importantly, these books reject the myth that generational wealth is automatic once achieved. It is not a finish line. It is a process requiring continuous maintenance. Neglect, complacency, or moral decay can undo it faster than markets ever could. Financial celebrities also stress emotional discipline. Family conflicts destroy more wealth than taxes or recessions. Governance structures addressed not just money, but communication. Disputes were anticipated and managed proactively. Silence was avoided. Transparency prevented resentment. Another recurring insight concerns humility toward chance. Many wealth creators acknowledged luck openly. This acknowledgement reduced arrogance. It fostered gratitude, and it prevented heirs from mistaking circumstance for superiority. Humility became a protective factor. As readers move deeper into these accounts, the image of generational wealth shifts dramatically. It stops looking like privilege and starts looking like responsibility carried across time. Every decision is weighed against its impact on people not yet born. This perspective demands restraint few are willing to practice, and this is where the story begins to narrow. Because once the secrets of generational wealth are understood not as financial tricks, but as behavioral commitments sustained across decades, the question changes. It is no longer, how do I get rich, but what kind of system am I building that can survive me? Financial celebrities who unlocked this secret understood that money alone cannot cross generations, but discipline, values, and structure can. If they are designed carefully enough to outlast ambition, ego, and time itself, like understanding that wealth meant to last generations must first survive the people who created it. In the second half of these books, the discussion moves away from capital and toward character. Financial celebrities who succeeded in building generational wealth speak candidly about an uncomfortable truth. Money is not the most fragile element in a wealthy family people are. Ego, entitlement, silence, unresolved conflict, and misaligned values destroy far more wealth than taxes or market crashes ever could. One of the clearest lessons repeated across these stories is that the greatest risk to generational wealth is unprepared heirs. Not unintelligent heirs, not lazy heirs, but heirs who inherit power without context. When money arrives before judgment, it accelerates mistakes rather than opportunities. Financial celebrities learned this lesson early, often by watching other families collapse from within. These books emphasize that successful families treated education as a lifelong process, not a childhood phase. Financial literacy was introduced gradually, but more importantly, so was decision-making responsibility. Children were allowed to fail in controlled environments. Small mistakes were encouraged early to prevent catastrophic ones later. This patience required restraint from parents, resisting the urge to rescue or overprotect. Another recurring insight is that generational wealth requires shared language. Families that endured developed common definitions of success, risk, responsibility, and enough. Without this shared language, money became a source of confusion and conflict. With it, disagreements could occur without fragmentation. Alignment mattered more than agreement. These books also show that the most effective wealth creators separated love from money. Support was unconditional. Capital was conditional. This distinction preserved relationships. When money was used to solve emotional problems, both failed. When boundaries were clear, trust survived even difficult decisions. Another powerful theme is governance without domination. Families that survived multiple generations did not rule by fear or secrecy. They built forums for discussion, councils, written principles, clear processes for decision-making and conflict resolution. These structures reduced ambiguity and prevented resentment from festering in silence. Financial celebrities also stress that values must be lived, not stated. Children notice hypocrisy instantly. A family that speaks about discipline but lives in excess teaches cynicism, not stewardship. Books repeatedly show that modeling behavior was far more influential than lectures or rules. Philanthropy reappears here not as charity, but as rehearsal. Giving taught younger generations how to evaluate impact, balance emotion with evidence, and take responsibility for outcomes. It trained decision-making muscles without threatening the core estate. In many families, philanthropy became the bridge between wealth and purpose. Another insight concerns succession timing. Delaying responsibility too long creates dependency. Handing it over too early creates chaos. Remembered families transitioned authority gradually. Mentorship replaced command. Feedback replaced control. The process was slow by design. As these narratives approach their conclusions, a sobering clarity emerges. Generational wealth is not about protecting money from children. It is about protecting children from money until they are ready. And readiness cannot be rushed or purchased. The books are honest about trade-offs. Families that preserved wealth often sacrificed simplicity. Conversations were harder. Decisions took longer. Emotional labor increased. But the alternative, unchecked inheritance, proved far more costly. And so the story resolves quietly, without glamour. The secrets of generational wealth are not hidden in markets or strategies. They live in daily behavior, uncomfortable conversations, and long-term restraint. Financial celebrities who unlocked this truth understood that wealth is easiest to create in one lifetime and hardest to carry across many. If this reflection resonated with you, pause and ask yourself one honest question. If your wealth disappeared tomorrow, what would still equip the next generation to stand on their own? That answer defines whether you are building money or building a legacy. Share what this made you reflect on. And if you want to continue exploring book-driven insights about wealth that lasts longer than headlines and balance sheets, subscribe and stay connected. Because true generational wealth is not measured by how much is passed down, but by how little damage it does when it arrives.